Okay, we should be live now. Let me check. Yep, we're live.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Slightly Slanted Sleuth is coming at you from Oakdale, Minnesota, and we're joined today with. I'm really excited to tell you that we're joined again today with Phil Langdon. Hey, say hi, Phil.
Hey, man. You're right. It's really nice to be back with you, man.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, and we're starting a little early because we got our times mixed up due to daylight savings time and whatnot, and.
Well, I did. Sorry.
It was kind of my fault. I kind of jumped the gun. You said 4 or 5, and I was so excited I put four down. So
I thought we were 6 hours apart, but we're 5 hours apart. So I got that wrong. I'm sorry. That's my fault, man.
Well, on my drive down to South Carolina, I went at the jump ahead in the clock, you know. So when I was on my way, or is it behind? No, a jump behind on the clock. We get an hour back. But yeah,
Right.
I was all confused when I got there because I thought we were an hour behind, not 2 hours, you know. And I was like, what the heck? So yeah, so I got all confused. But yeah, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been doing live streams and we've been discussing, you know, in our layman's sense of what ascension's been. And
Yeah.
Noah's flood and the Great Flood has been a big topic lately, and how everything is physical. So I'd like to share a little bit with people. And this podcast is going to be about the Great Flood and what it truly means, what it truly is in a lot of sense. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Hang on, I gotta find it again. Sorry.
That's right.
Sorry, it'll take me a second. I just gotta go like this. Boop, boop, boop. And oops. Oh, nope, not there. That'll cause problems.
It's the second tab, dude, in the middle.
I can't see it here though because I got this thing in the way. I just gotta shrink this down.
Oh, I see. It's the Genesis flood narrative, it says.
Yeah, I can't see that on my screen because I got the bar for Zoom in the way right now.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I can't get at it right here. Oh, right here maybe. Is that it? Or is it the next one?
The next one.
No.
Listen, the tabs at the top. If I tell you to stop your cursor, move your cursor up vertically in the screen.
Yeah, I did, and it's because the bar's in the way.
Yeah, I can see it, so I can tell you when you're on it. You see what I mean?
Okay, I got it. Right there?
No, move the cursor up a little bit more.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I got it.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
I didn't know I could move the bar.
Right.
All right. Sorry, guys. But yeah, and if anybody has any questions in chat, just put them in caps, please, so I can recognize that you're doing it. Okay, this is sourced from Wikipedia, and I just thought it was pertinent to show because they're in agreement with Phil on what the deluge is and what it was about. The Genesis flood narrative is a flood myth found in the how do you pronounce that word?
Tanakh.
Tanakh. Chapters 6 through 9 in the book of Genesis. The story tells of God's decision to return Earth to its pre-creation state of watery chaos and then remake it in a reversal of creation. The narrative has very strong similarities to parts of the Epic of Gilgamesh, which predates the book of Genesis. A global flood, as described in this myth, is inconsistent with the physical findings of geology and paleontology. A branch of creationism known as flood geology is a pseudo-scientific attempt to argue that such a global flood actually occurred. And most conspiracy-minded people will say, well, of course, because you're reading that from Wikipedia and Google, you know, and
right.
whatnot.
The first sentence up there is, I know they're saying the usual thing, but it's a mistake to think of the flood as an event on Earth. That's a total 180 degree of what you should be looking at, in terms of this flood.
Yes, and then even in Wikipedia, it goes on to explain exactly what you just said right there, where it says, how how it intertextually relates to the Epic of Gilgamesh, and it says, and so on. It talks about what is it? The flood is part of what scholars call the primeval history, the first 11 chapters of Genesis. These chapters, fable-like and legendary, form a preface to the patriarchal narratives which follow, but show little relationship to them. For example, the names of its characters in geology, Adam and whatnot, but that's not really what I wanted to read. I wanted to read sources here. Or
you're on sources. Yeah, you're on sources.
The summary one is what I wanted to read. It tells you what the Noah flood, in the flood of creation narrative right here is what I wanted to read. The flood is a reversal and renewal of God's creation of the world. In Genesis 1, God separates the waters above the earth from those below so that dry land can appear as a home for living things. But in the flood story, the windows of heaven and fountains of the deep are open so that the world is returned to the watery chaos of the time before creation. Even the sequence of flood events mimics that of creation. The flood first covering the earth to its highest mountains, then destroying in order birds, cattle, beasts, swarming creatures, and finally mankind. This incidentally mirrors the Babylonian flood story in the Epic of Gilgamesh, where at the end of rain, all mankind had returned to the clay, the substance of which they had been made of. The ark itself is likewise a microcosm of Solomon's temple. So, yeah, and that's pretty much what you just said. It's a more of a story of ascension, essentially. And right here it says the same thing, where it says the division between the waters above and waters below the earth is removed. The dry land is flooded. Most life is destroyed, and only Noah and those of his that are with him survive to obey God's command to be fruitful and multiply. And it
right.
So
yeah.
It's related to the Noah flood. I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh. So all of these stories are telling us the same thing. And what is that, Phil?
Right. Okay. This is going to take a little while, right? Okay. So, but basically, to get to the point straight away, ascension is creation itself. It's the creation of physical reality, which is based in an infinite ocean. We can go into more detail on that, but what goes on in ascension is that you experience the creation event itself. And that comes from the center of your head. So the first thing that's created is the light. And there's a massive infinite expansion that instantly happens from the center of your head. That is the generation of the abyss. The abyss is a bottomless ocean. So it's an infinite expanse that has a scalar quality to it. In other words, it has value. It's like a sea of potential.
Ken Willer explains it as space has doesn't have properties, but it has attributes. Is that correct?
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that. You'd have to be more specific because that's a little bit sketchy.
Okay.
I try and be scientific about it. That's why I call it a scalar field, because that's exactly what it is. It's an infinite scalar field. It's infinite, therefore it's undefined. So it has the minimal quality that it could possibly have. And don't forget, it comes from an infinite expansion, which is like an infinite pulse that is generated by the true spirit that is with you at that time. So when you understand the oneness of the true spirit, whoosh, you literally experience creation itself. And the light, because it comes from the center of your head, the light switches on first and there's the expansion from it. So the light is now the center of the infinite expanse. You have defined where the cosmos is in the infinite expanse by doing this and experiencing it. It's also the end of the journey. It's the end of the great work, ascension, but the end is the beginning as well. So it's the beginning of creation that generated the ascension in the first place. So it's a loop. It's a rejoining of the loop of creation, where the alpha and the omega are literally the one and the same thing.
The 1 and the 13, the alpha, omega, the mentalism and correspondence, right?
That's right. The correspondence between you, the product of the cosmos, really, in terms of being on Earth, because you can think of creatures everywhere else. It's a correspondence between you and the creative principle. You've become one with the Atman. And the Atman, I'll show you what that is exactly. It's the cosmic man, the Atman. It's the primeval man. And let me share my screen with you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hang on a sec. Okay. Right, let me just drop that. Primeval man is... this is my new file dump here. Let me just open this one up for you. Come on, computer. Come along. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Let me put it over here.
The light
you can see that clearly.
The light in the seed, right? Or the cosmic egg.
What you're seeing there is the Atman. This is the cosmic man. The light is his head, and the cosmic egg down there is the entire process of the cosmos all at once. It takes billions and billions of years to complete this cycle, but it repeats it over and over again. So if you want to depict it all at once from start to finish, you would draw it like this as a cosmic egg. And that represents the heart of you. You notice your body has a center in the heart.
Yep.
Yeah, where the Pharaoh crosses his wrists when he holds the crook and the flail, his wrists are crossed over his center. That's the heart, the sacred heart, and his head is illuminated with light. So here we have the cosmic man, the perfect man that is eternal. Yeah, the cosmos goes round and round in cycles, but you become one with this, as it were.
This is itself God, pretty much, is what you're saying?
That is what you're seeing is the manifestation of the reality of God. That is the Atman is not God.
Right.
It's as if it's God's body, but God is not physical. God is pure spirit, always.
Right.
This is simply the product of union with God. It's the creative, it's the underlying creative principle of everything in the cosmos. Okay, so this is what you find out about when you experience ascension. You see that light as if you are the cosmos, as if the cosmos is now your brain, such that you're looking at the light as the cosmos, or you can think of the cosmos now as an eye, a single eye. You see, looking at the light.
Right. And is this just so we're clear? I think I'm understanding you now. The only begotten, or the Son of Man, is also the Son of God, and we create that together with God. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's the light.
That's the light.
That's that light. That's the Son of God. Yeah, that's the one and only Son of God.
Right.
Yeah, the light that shines in the darkness has not overcome it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Okay. So, also known as the demiurge, correct?
Yes, correct. That's right. It is the demiurge.
Or Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer simply means the bringer of light, or the light, basically.
Light bearer, yep.
Yeah, light bearer. So can you see the screen still?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So on the left, you got the cosmic being, the cosmic man, who is eternal. And on the right, you have a personification of God and goodness, known as Jesus Christ. You see that? So look at his heart. His heart is the cosmos, and his head is illuminated with a big cross, which is that light there. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so that's what you're seeing. That's what you're being shown. With the depiction of Jesus, he really is just a personification of God and goodness, like Krishna. You don't have to worry about whether there was someone 2,000 years ago that you need to think about. It's not about that. It's about you understanding this for yourself, regardless of anybody else. And I was going to say earlier, when you started reading out that thing about Genesis, that Christians want to find evidence of the physical interpretation of biblical texts to prove that the biblical content is real and true. But that's a problem because they're shallow about it. And the biblical content is the greatest depth of truth. So if you're shallow about it, you will miss the point. And they miss the point, and therefore they lose their arguments.
Are you totally discounting the aspect of the Great Flood even happening physically on Earth, or no?
No. What I would say is it's perfectly normal to have cataclysms on a planet in a solar system. Asteroids can hit the planet and wipe out life or a portion of life. You can have tsunamis galore over long periods of history. Lots of, land can rise, mountains rise, and some land falls. All sorts of things go on. But if you're going to read the biblical text and think, I need to associate that with an event in history, forget it.
Okay.
Don't waste your time on that. By all means, do that. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I don't mind. You can spend as much time on that as you want, but you will never find evidence of the Great Flood, as it's called in the Bible, or the Atrahasis, or the Gilgamesh story. You will not find that, and that's been confirmed, and I understand why that's been confirmed. So let's have a look at why.
Okay.
Let me open that up for you. Okay, it is here. No, it's not. It's a bit further down. Here it is. Okay. All right, can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the flood, the idea of a great flood is literally your expansion, because your expansion produces the ocean of chaos, or the abyss that is like a chaotic ocean or an undefined ocean of infinite extent. So you have generated a great flood. That's what the story is telling you about. It's telling you that you've ascended and created the nature of physical reality with God, in unison with God. And what you created is a great flood. And from that flood, there is a light called Noah. So I'm going to read you a description of Noah in a second. There's a lot of associations. You see the two beams that are extending down from the light, reaching toward the cosmic egg at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Right. If you take that light to be Jesus Christ, the Son of God, which is exactly what it is, you can see he is walking on water, because he exists in the cosmic ocean, the abyss, which is beyond the cosmos. Yeah, the cosmos is in the abyss, but it doesn't extend to infinity, the cosmos. The cosmos is finite. The abyss that it exists within is infinite. So that's its playground, if you like. The only two things that exist in the abyss are the light and the cosmos, period. There's nothing else. Okay, in this model, in this understanding. So those two beams reaching down are often depicted in various forms. I'll show you another one quickly so you can see that. Where is it? It's there it is, the Great Architect. This is a classic version of that. Okay, so there's Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the light, with a compass that has two prongs extending toward a cosmic egg down here. Yeah, which is exactly what we have. There's the cosmic egg. Here are the two beams, like the two prongs in the compass, and the light is the Son of God. So
Right.
I'm finding
the shape of the light itself is a cross, and that's the biggest symbol we know of as humans, right? I mean, and it's no coincidence that that's the reason why.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's the literal shape of the light with the beams as they extend out from the four faces of the cloud. Yeah, there are two unique beams that come out the front of it towards you when you turn around and see it, and those two are often very much emphasized. Okay, so
that you just showed of the architect with the compass, you had commented on that earlier. the foot being outside the picture, did you ever
Yes.
do research into that? What do you think?
Yeah. You don't need to research that, dude.
No, I was just wondering what you think it means.
Yeah. To be honest, there's an automatic understanding of it. In that the light is part physical and part spiritual. So it's the conglomeration, it's the unification of the two, it's the unification of heaven and earth, or heaven and hell. So one foot is in heaven and the other foot is in hell, so to speak. Yeah, the foot that's in
the colors too in the picture.
Yeah, you've got. I can see the the colors of the gunas there. The yellow, the red, and the blue, and of course it's encapsulated in green, which is the color of balance. Yeah, because the cosmos goes out and comes back in. It refines balance, or it goes back to stillness before starting up again. So balance is always reestablished.
Awesome, thank you.
There's also Sorry, Steve.
That's exactly what I thought the foot outside was it was showing that, both spiritual and physical and heaven and hell and, the dual big part of our creation, right?
Yeah. So he's the son of God, and yet he's the devil as well at the same time. Yeah. Physically the devil, spiritually the son of God. Yeah,
and I'm catching a lot of flack lately as to calling Jesus Lucifer, or saying we are devils we are fools born into a devil's world, or we are in hell essentially, and
yeah. It's only because people aren't used to thinking like that, and if they're simplistic about it, they have I don't mean to demean anybody, but most people will have a childlike, unrealistic appreciation of these words. Yeah.
What we've learned to accept the words as meaning, the extremism of them words are, if you're calling somebody a devil, you're saying they're evil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and if you say, well, the son of God is the devil, it's very confusing, isn't it?
Yes,
to someone it's so confusing to someone who has a very simple, simplistic view of biblical ideas. They think Jesus was a guy who walked around literally healing the blind and making them see, but that is a metaphor for when you are illuminated, you can see now, because Jesus Christ has allowed you to see. All of it is metaphor in these terms. Every miracle that Jesus performs in the New Testament is a metaphor for this event. Every single one. And there are many, many ways of talking about it. So people think that all these things are different events in the life of Jesus, but they have no idea that he's nothing more than a personification.
Are you familiar with the Book of Thomas? I'm sure you are, right?
Yeah, very familiar. I've actually copied that down. I actually watched you guys talking about it recently.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, while I was at work having a break, I've been watching it in my lunch breaks.
Oh, awesome. What do you think?
Most of the time, 90% of the time, you guys did really well. I was very proud of you, to be honest. I thought, you Steve had the most hits, as it were, in terms of the way you're looking at it. I've seen the first half of that video because it's almost 3 hours or 2.5 hours, quite long.
We did another one that I haven't posted yet because it was a folly on my part. So I'm trying to edit it, but yeah.
Right.
So you can see how the physical sense of our reality is getting in the way of people's, even mine included at times.
Yeah. It's very difficult to get out of the normal frame of references. When you talk about things in the Bible, we always think they're real events, and we have to spend hours arguing over whether someone's found Noah's Ark on the top of a mountain, all this kind of stuff. People get used to that. It even took me a long time to get out of that thinking after the light as well. Okay, so don't screw yourself up over it. It's not a problem. It takes time because humans have been conditioned to think in a certain way.
Correct.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. I wanted to show you something. I picked something out from the Gospel of Thomas that you guys didn't understand. So I can explain that to you. I just need to get past the Origins Gnostic text here that I've copied down. I'm actually writing a third book, like I said before, and today day I've had nothing but like really crystal clear understandings, like just firing off continuously as I'm reading it. I know exactly what they're talking about, so I'm dumping graphics in to give a graphical version. Right, here it is. There's a portion in the Gospel of Thomas about an hour into your video. It's number 12, verse 12, where it says, the disciples said to Jesus, we know you will depart from us. Who then will rule over us? And Jesus said to them, no matter where you came from, you should go to James the just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being.
Right.
If you don't know Kabbalah, you will never ever understand what is being said there. So
do you recall how did we describe that, or what that meant?
I don't recall offhand, but I know you none of you could get it because that's not something you're going to grasp.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over that one. We kind of gave it a superficial answer and then skipped over it.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
Hello? Oh no. Hello? Hello? Great. Are you with me? Wonderful. Wonderful. I don't know if Phil dropped out somehow. I don't know what happened. So I'm working on getting him back here, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Hey, Phil, we can't hear you, bud. You got a bunch of bars. Are you guys hearing me still in the live stream? And am I still on YouTube? Phil, we can't hear you, bud. Yeah, I am. Okay. Can you guys hear Phil? You can't hear Phil, though, can you? Phil, try to sign out and sign back in. Yeah, sorry, guys. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. So I'll share my screen. Yeah, I'll share this right here. Okay. It should be sharing. Maybe not. I don't know. Phil, sign out and sign back in, bud. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, people. Okay, now he'll be coming back, I'm thinking. Something happened to his computer or something. Yeah, I see people making comments that, you know, he's wrong, they're right, whatever. I'm not going to even pretend to know I know everything, but you know, for me, this knowledge is everything because I'm interested in ascension. I'm interested in the divine union, completing the great work. I wish I would have started this process much earlier in my life, but as it were, it didn't start until recently, on the sense where the true spiritual matter of our existence has come into light for me. So, you know, I care if you guys want to watch. I You know, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to apologize for what I believe truth to be. And, you know, it's that simple. I mean, if it don't resonate with you, it don't resonate with you. Do your own research, be pulled down every rabbit hole like I was. You'll still come up empty, because at the end of the rabbit hole is just another question. Now what? You know, and this is the only one that I've been down that makes any sense to me. You know, and it's not that far fetched to realize that everything in the Bible is talking about one thing and one thing only: ascension. You know, and I may make a lot of enemies that way, but I'm not trying to. For I care. I care about every. I do this out of you know, a selfish reason, because it's for me to learn. But I'm sharing it with you guys, so in hopes that you guys want to learn with me. You know, and if you don't, that's up to you. I'm not trying to pull anybody down any hole. I'm not trying to force my ideals on anybody. I'm just trying to share the information I believe to be the truth, the ultimate truth, nothing but the truth. So help me, because my name is Slightly Slanted Sleuth for the truth. And whether I'm slanted or not, I'm after the truth. Whether it be uh, the shooter on the grassy knoll for the JFK assassination, or the guy in the sewer that shot JFK. You know, I mean, it's just any truth out there I am after. And this is the ultimate truth to me. That's why I've been on this like a rabid dog on a bone, you know, because it means the most to me. But yeah, guys, hi, everybody in chat. I'm glad you're, and if you have any questions, yeah, just, um, every man is a liar. And Phil wasn't stating that there hasn't been a flood. He's just stating that the Noah's flood talked about in the Bible is a flood that is uh, an allegory, because allegory to the Bible is algorithm to a computer, you know, and allegory in the Bible is, you know, telling us how it works, you know, or it's the mechanism in which it works, you know, or the software, I guess is what you could call it. But I mean, what I mean by that is that the Noah's flood myth is actually a story of ascension. How you become the liar, your understanding of creation and its implications of what it is, the awareness of you being the bride, you as it were, to the bridegroom, which is God, that creates the Son of Man. You know, Lucifer, the light bearer, the pineal light. Yes, the flood happens within you. Yes. It wasn't your fault, honey. It wasn't your fault, Angel. You know, and his something happened. He's trying to get back on, I'm sure. Hopefully he signs back in. I'm gonna try to invite him here. I'm gonna end my share here so I can get to my regular screen. And I'm gonna invite him again. I'm sure he'll show back up. Maybe his computer overheated, because it did that to him before in the past. But right now I'm waiting for my email to jump up here. Yeah, he hasn't been here. I'll send him another email. Yeah, Phil's been working his butt off, and if you follow his Facebook, he's got a Facebook illumination page on Facebook. And Phil doesn't sell any of his information. He gives it all out for free. He's got 2 books that he has so generously given everybody the links to. I got the links. I'll post them in the question, or in the comment section of this video, or the description box after it's over, and I'll edit it in there. But he's got an illumination page, and recently he's been really, really concise about definitions and stuff. And he was just saying that information's been flowing to him because he's been able to think about things while he's alone at work. And people, where does he find the time? I was just explaining that the time that he finds is when he's by himself thinking. And that's what I do. Like when I was driving, when the radio's not on, when I'm not talking to my wife or my kids, when I'm alone, I think. That's my meditation. And people tend to think that you have to empty your mind to meditate, when I believe it's the exact opposite. You have to think about things when you meditate to get the answers. I think of all of my stuff at work. It's the best time to do it. Yes, very good. It's snowing again, huh? Yeah, we got 2 feet on the ground still here, and it was raining 3 days before I got back. I was afraid how long you got, our nuggets? Too much to text. What are we talking about? So what is your code about? Oh. My God, dogma. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool to put those together. But I don't attribute God to dogma. I attribute dogma to man, because man is the one who has corrupted any teachings from God, from our higher self. Our higher self is one. We are all one of that higher self. And our true nature, our true destiny, our true purpose for us being in the physical is to become one with him, to create the Son of Man, the Son of God, the light, creation's mechanism. Who had surgery? Yes. Down many rabbit holes and go back to find truth in the Bible. Thank you. That's exactly what I did. The sacred fluid that falls from the pineal gland and pituitary gland, then you, in meditation area, raise it back up. Very good. That could be. How long you, okay. So Max had surgery? That which animates you is God. He is already within you, and the Christ is the fluid. Yes. Okay, Phil's back. Hang on. I'm coming, Phil. Now my computer don't want to work. Ain't that a bitch? I'm working on it, Phil. Hang on, bud. For some reason, it's not letting me click on you. There you are. Hey, bud. Here you come. He's back with us. Our purpose is to ascend the great staircase, to move upwards through the archetypes of the tarot psyche until all archetypes become one. Yes. Okay, I was reading comments in live chat, so say something. Sure. Okay, we can hear you. Good.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
What happened?
My computer shut down. I think it overheated, so I put a pack of frozen mushrooms underneath it. Cool. I have to buy a new computer. This laptop just overheats as soon as I go onto a web chat, it starts overheating straight away. So I've cooled it down a bit, and it's just taken ages to restart the damn thing,
Right. Australian School of Esoterica brings up something. Okay, our purpose is to ascend the great staircase, to move upwards through the archetypes of the tarot psyche until all archetypes become one.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Good.
Yeah, a very nice description as well.
Well, he's immersed in this daily. He's very astute when it comes to this stuff, and he's my other go-to guy.
Right. Yeah, very good. I like that statement.
Very nice.
Totally... Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember what you were talking about?
Where were we? Because I've been bamboozled. I've been gone 10 minutes, I think. Where were we?
We were talking about the relationship of the light and its the heart and the mind, or the light in the heart, or,
Right.
or the Atman. You had the Atman.
The Atman. Yeah, I was gonna read a description of Noah for you. Let me just grab that. Hang on 2 secs. I just got to open it quickly.
Oh, you were describing the book of Thomas, the James part of it.
That's right.
That phrase. That's what you were describing.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I'm just opening it now. If it's going to open, yeah, please open. Thank you. Okay, it shouldn't take a second.
It's funny how we're begging our technology to work for us lately.
Oh man, yeah. I'm going to buy a new computer because this one's getting slower and slower, and it's going wrong.
Mine as well.
Really? How old is yours?
Well, this one's a good 5 years old. My other one that I just bought that my wife uses for school, is I just bought last year. So, but
right.
It's kind of hard to have, you know what I mean.
Yeah. This one's about 7 years old. It's a laptop that I bought specifically to do graphics and make videos for YouTube. So it's geared for that, but very little else. And it doesn't have a very good fan, so it doesn't cool itself down properly.
Right.
Oh, yeah, come on. Oh my gosh, it's so slow. Come on, sweetie, that's it.
He's calling Sweepy now.
It's coming up. Yeah, that's it. Come on.
Miles had to go to bed, I think, Jerry. But yeah,
Someone dropped out.
there was another question about that which animates you is God. He is already within you, and the Christ is the fluid. What do you think about that statement?
The first part I would agree with. Fluid, you could say that. I mean, I would interpret that as the bile, as the Origins of the World calls it, the bile that comes from the presence of the light. The generation of the cosmos comes from the light, but the cosmos generates the light as well. They're like yin and yang, they generate each other. The fluid I would associate with the cosmic scenario that we are in, that we represent. We are the macrocosm of that. So we're the microcosm of that, of the cosmos. In fact, I was going to mention earlier, the Atman is in the book of Genesis, when people translate, let us make man in our image, people always think that refers to aliens generating humans, and it has nothing to do with that. It doesn't mean humans have not been tampered and made by aliens. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is in Genesis, when it says, let us make man in our image, it's telling you about the Atman and the fact that you have a head and a heart. There's a center to your body in your heart and a center to your head. Just like the Atman has a light and a cyclic process here. Your heart represents the cosmos in this sense. And of course, the cosmos follows 7 kingdoms. Your heart has 7 layers to its muscle. So it's literally a microcosm of the cosmos as well. Your heart.
Your body is the same, has 7 chakras and.
Yeah. We are literally microcosms of this cosmos. Yeah, we're little versions of it. As if
literally,
we are.
They say that man is the measure of all things in a literal sense, and even in a spiritual sense too, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, definitely. So I was going to show you Noah. Oh no, we were talking about the Gospel of Thomas first, weren't we? That's right. So let me just find quickly. It's just down here.
Okay.
Here it is. Okay, and I was going to tell you about a website that I used in conjunction when I did the video about the Apocryphon of John, because a website called gnosticteachings.org is very, very good. The person who's written this is extremely astute and he knows what he's talking about. And I wanted to explain what that Gospel of Thomas quotation means when Jesus says, no matter where you came from, you should go to James the Just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. So who is this James? So, and we find the answer right here in gnosticteachings.org, because they get it right. and it says there are two
Oh,
sons.
I think I got it now.
Right.
I think I just got it.
Right. So John and James, two of the apostles of Jesus, each apostle is symbolic of aspects of the consciousness. John represents the conscious virtue of filial love, so that's love. And James represents the conscious virtue of upright judgment, that's truth, which is severe. So in other words, they represent mercy and judgment, or love and truth, which are the two pillars on the tree of life, either side of the center. They relate specifically to the two highest Sephiroth, just below the monad at the top.
Shakma and Bina, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember offhand. I don't spend much time on the titles. I'm not big on titles, but I think
understanding.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right there. Yeah. So James represents the truth. So now let's in a mathematics equation, let's substitute that word truth for the word James in the sentence spoken by Jesus, and see what it says. No matter where you came from, you should go to the truth, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. Yeah, it's God who generates heaven and earth, and God is the truth. And it's for his sake that they come into being, because God comes from the process of the great work as well, even though he generates it. Yeah, just like the Alpha and Omega.
Essentially, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and Omega.
Yeah. So basically, go to the truth.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all it's saying, effectively. So, but it's using a person to represent the principle that you find on the tree of life. Yeah, nice. a personification yet again. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to point out earlier, while you were missing in action here, I said, because people were being severe about, this is a bunch of nonsense because there was a flood, there's proof all over the world. You weren't discounting that there wasn't a natural cataclysm flood, but the one talked in the Bible is about ascension, is just to clarify. That's exactly right. I'm not saying there have not been floods and cataclysms and tsunamis and asteroids and all sorts of problems on this planet. What you're reading about in the book of Genesis has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Zero to do with that. Literally nothing. It's purely about ascension, the Bible. The entire Bible is about ascension and nothing else. It's an encyclopedia for the human race to wrap their heads around ascension when it's translated properly for you and explained to you. But only a God will understand it because of the great depth it contains. A simplistic view of that will never understand it. And you cannot understand it by intellect alone, by piecing things together and thinking you're putting it all together. That will never work. You must have the insight in order to do that. You must. Go on.
And that insight comes from people such as you, correct?
It comes from experiencing ascension. That is the insight. Yeah, because then you recognize what's being told to you in the Bible. And when you try and tell people, they shake their heads, say, no, you're wrong. And if only they'd spend time with me, they'd realize that they've been given what to think about it. That they're trying to make it too literal and too physical. And it's not about that.
Right.
So I've actually put down some of Genesis. Was it here? No, it's in the new the book that I'm putting together. But first, let me just explain to people who Noah really is, because they probably haven't seen my video on this. And if you look at the book of Noah, which is the authority on Noah, so no one can tell me I'm making this up. Look at what it literally says in the first verse, in the first chapter of the book of Noah. It describes him. So you can see it on your screen, right?
Oh yeah, Jerry Runk has brought this to my attention many times. And
okay, so let's get to the point of this passage. It says, his body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair of his head and his long locks were white as wool, and his eyes were beautiful. And when he opened his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun. That's the moment that it's produced. When he opens his eyes is the moment the light is produced. He lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house is very bright. The house is the abyss. And therefore he arose in the hands, or you could take it to be the human head, where the light is. It's not exactly manifest here. I think we generate a connection, a wormhole in our head to the outermost part of the cosmos, because the light is outside the cosmos always. And thereupon he arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth and conversed with the Lord of righteousness. The reference to a midwife is the concept that when you go from a child of creation or the creator to a child of God, the creation is a woman, and she becomes your midwife, handing you back to God, because you are now no longer part of her system. You've risen above it. So she is now your midwife, and God takes you from there. Like Merlin takes Arthur to himself. Yeah, do you know that story?
Not necessarily, no.
Right, King Arthur was taken by Merlin because Uther Pendragon, who was the father of Arthur, promised a baby to Merlin so that he could sleep with the woman he desired. Okay, so Arthur is taken by Merlin. So his mother, Arthur's mother, becomes his midwife, who hands him back to God. So the issue with Merlin there is a metaphor for being handed back to God. That's exactly what you're being told about here. It's the same principle.
And that is the divine union.
Yeah, that's divine union. You become a child of God. Yeah, it's the same principle as when Jesus, I think it's the Gospel of Matthew, is saying the people outside, I think his mother turns up and he's in a house talking to people. And they say, why aren't you coming out to see your mother? And he says, that is not my mother. It's exactly the same thing. And nobody recognizes this midwife understanding when you become a child of God. Anyway, let's carry on. Because it says his father Lamech was afraid of him. This is Noah. Noah's father was afraid of him and fled, and came to his father Methuselah and said it to him, I've begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike man. So it is telling you he is not a person. Unlike man means not a person, and resembling the sons of the God of heaven. And his nature is different, and he is not like us. And his eyes are as the rays of the sun. His eyes are rays or beams, and his countenance is glorious. Well, it certainly is glorious. That's what he looks like.
Those beams are the same two beams that you were showing in the depiction between the relationship between the light and the egg, right? Or the seed.
Yeah. The picture on the left here you see of the light is what you see when you turn around. The cloud takes up about 1/3 of your total view, so it's very big in front of you with the beams going out beyond your peripheral vision because they're so long. And there are two beams coming out towards you. The one on the left is the one that stops right in front of you, and that is its right hand. So you've become one with the cosmos in this moment, as if you are now an eye or a brain looking at the light. And this is the relationship between the cosmos and the light. You are now the cosmos, looking at the creator of the cosmic principle, or the cosmic situation. Okay, that's how I know it's at the end of the right hand. And I'm going to show you something in a minute that might freak you out a little bit as well in these terms that nobody would come up with ever. For Adam and Eve, because immediately after the creation events in Genesis, it goes to Adam and Eve, and there's a reason for that. So that is Noah. Noah is not a person, he's the light itself. Therefore, when we come to the great flood concept, you're going to hear about a person called Noah, who is the light, and a boat that he's supposed to build. And some people have argued that the boat is round. Well, that's a misunderstanding of the fact that the boat can be taken to be the cosmic egg that the light is sitting on or standing on, as if he's standing on a boat, even though the light can be taken to be a boat itself. The two positions between the light and the cosmos are often interchangeable, and they're played around with because gods know that you will never understand what they're talking about in the first place. It's almost like rhyming slang in London, where people made words up so that the police couldn't understand what they were saying and they could get away with crime. You see, so you have your own language. Gods have their own language. And the Bible is nothing but language of the gods, as I mentioned in that last time we spoke.
Yes.
Right.
And I've tried to convey that to people, but I don't have the context in which to explain it.
It's so difficult, isn't it? This is one of the hardest subjects to deal with because people are very dismissive of it in the first place, and they don't give you time because there's thousands of people in the world all shouting at the same time, and a lot of them are talking crap, and people get used to that, and they just assume that you're going to be telling them a load of crap. You know, it's your personal crap that they don't need to hear. It's that kind of response. I get that all the time.
Right. Have we overcomplicated this whole process, in your opinion?
No, not at all. In terms of how we talk about it?
No, the human race has humans or mankind overcomplicated ascension. Muddled it up, I guess, is a better word.
Muddled it up, yeah, because there's no one who's done it to say, hang on, guys, it's actually this over here. Remember?
Right.
Yeah, there's people talking about how the human race is moving into the fifth dimension. That is a misnomer and a misuse of the expression fifth dimension. If you ask any of those people to define properly with rigor what the nature of 5 dimensions really is, none of them will be able to tell you. Some of them will try and tell you it's this or that, and it's just not scientific. It's completely made up. It's some personal thing that they've just come up with. Maybe they've heard someone else. But the reference to the fifth dimension is a reference really to the fifth element. Ascension is the attainment of the fifth element, not the fifth dimension. What you're attaining.
The fifth element is your pyramid being capped from above, which is a diamond, right?
That's right. It's the attainment of the diamond nature. Yeah. The true understanding of actual reality that is generated by God and you in the event of ascension. Yeah. That underlies all physical reality. Yeah. What was I going to say? Fifth element.
You were talking about the fifth element and what people tend to think of the fifth dimension, 5 dimensions.
Yeah, they can't define it. They're making things up to themselves, and they're not getting anywhere as a result. That's the problem. And some of them are very proud of these intellectual phrases that they've come up with, and they want to stick to it. And they literally don't get anywhere because of it. Yeah,
right.
I noticed that. I definitely noticed that. So I'm not surprised people don't recognize when I'm telling them that the Great Flood in the Book of Genesis is the event of creation, ascension, or ascension creation. That's what it is. It's a generation of the infinite cosmic ocean of chaos, or the sea of potential, in which the cosmos is born from the light. And the light is born first. One of the things I wanted to mention about Adam and Eve, I've just read about Noah, and we found out he is the light and his eyes are the beams. So now, you can see what's on the screen right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Adam and Eve, the expression referred to in terms of Eve is her heart, the heart of Eve. This is a Kabbalistic identification suggesting that Eve is associated with your heart and Adam is associated with your head. They are together. They are a couple that must come together in perfect harmony. Eve must rise to receive the wisdom of the head. The only reason for this is because when you have divine union, you cannot intellectually understand the infinite in that moment. The only part of you that can truly understand the infinite is your heart. So you fall in love first. Then the understanding from the heart rises to your head and educates your brain. You see, it gives you the answer to your brain to allow you to unify everything and finally rise up and see the Atman or the light. And then you are ascended. And then when you read the Bible, you realize that the story of Adam and Eve is really, once again, an expression concerning the light and the cosmos as a relationship between Adam and Eve. There's a lot more to the Adam and Eve story than just that, but this is where it starts. And the reason, 2 days ago, I was thinking, I've forgotten why it says Adam's rib is used to make Eve. And I've heard many people arguing against this, etc., etc. But it's nothing more than an identification of what is going on with that light, between the light and the cosmos, because there are 2 beams coming out of it, but only one of them ends at the cosmic egg. Yeah, the other beam goes off in the distance, and it's separate from it. So the egg is at the end of only one of the 32 beams. So the beams are the ribs of Adam. Adam, in these terms, is the light with 32 ribs, and one of his ribs is used to make Eve, who is the cosmos.
Okay.
That I know that probably sounds like, where'd you get that from, Phil? Where it's just automatically there. Look, if you look at the diagram, you can see it. See, the ribs are the beams, and the rib that makes Eve is his right hand again, that is mentioned in the book of Revelation. So I turned around and I was at the end of his right hand. He put his right hand on me and told me not to be afraid. You know, another way of talking about the moment of ascension. The entire Bible is about this specific moment where you finally see the truth behind the veil. Yeah.
Right, and that's the lifting of the veil is, you know, in essence, right? I mean, that's, everybody thinks that it's, you know, that CERN's taking a, you know, making a tear in the veil and all this and that. When
no, how can I'd like someone to explain to me how CERN firing a bunch of protons around a ring can change reality in any way, shape, or form. Anyone who says that has no grasp of physics whatsoever.
Yes.
I apologize if that offends anyone, but I must be honest. You know, that is clutching at straws and just wasting your time with nonsense.
Speaking of nonsense, I've got another real big thing that's been coming up lately.
Yeah.
The whole they part of who's controlling everything and this and that. What do you have to say to that? I mean,
yeah, we had a conversation about that quite early on. I remember, where you were asking what you should do, either to get people to get closer to ascension, or what you can do about the nature of the control mechanisms in the world. The thing is, the first work that any human should be focused on is working on themselves. And forget the world. The world is always going to be a mess, because no one's really in charge. It's very chaotic. You can spend a lot of time going on and on and on about who's controlling this and what conspiracy is in place and how you found out about it and blah, blah, blah. None of that is going to help you ascend. So it's almost a waste of time. And what on earth can you do about it anyway as an individual? Is there anything you can do about it? What are you going to do? Write to them? You think they're going to write back to you? You think they care about you? They couldn't give a monkey's about you. So forget those people. They're always going to be like that. Get on and fix yourself first, and then you can see clearly. Then you will know what to do. You don't have to worry about all these things all the time, because people spend too much time on the wrong issues like conspiracy. I have a lot to say against people like David Icke, because he is wasting everybody's time. His interpretations are incredibly shallow, and because of it, he wants to draw conclusions like any human wants to, and he gets most of them wrong. So he's just misdirecting you, and he's trying to gain ground again, get some kind. It looks like he's on a psychological path of please take me seriously, please take me seriously. Look at what I'm talking about, And I'd like to have a serious sit down with him and chat with him and remind him that he's wasting everybody's time and that he needs to fix himself, because he's not fixed, David Icke. He had he had the experience of samadhi at some place, some temple, maybe in South America, I think it was. Big deal. Lots of people have had samadhi type experiences, but they don't complete that, and then they go around telling everyone they've had this ultimate experience, which all they've done is come to a level of stillness, and they've realized that there is an eternal existence beyond the physical transient. And they think that's the be-all and end-all of information when it's just the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I've been down every rabbit hole. I mean, conspiracy-minded rabbit hole there is, and it always ends up leading me back to the now what.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now
where does it leave you?
Now what? It leaves you with more questions than you entered it with.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So you're stuck, and then you end up thinking, well, maybe there was something in it. Maybe I'll go back and reread it. And you waste even more time thinking you've missed something or what have you. You just get nowhere. That is a waste of time.
What's the best way to work on fixing yourself, in your opinion?
Well, you could call it analyzing yourself. Really, all I did was look to understand my own psychology by studying psychology and how people perceive it and what it means, and how the brain can be fooled and tricked into thinking certain things that aren't true. Mostly, though, during my day, during my life, I would be looking at things thinking, am I getting this right? Am I really understanding the real nature of this situation? So then I start asking questions, and then I realize, oh no, I got it wrong. So it's really just an examination of things,
Yep.
Also, not just the psychology, which is the inner world of the mind, but the outer world of natural science. I wanted to understand that. So these are the two focuses. These are the two meditations, as they say in the Upanishads, the inner world and the outer world. You should spend time contemplating and see how they relate to each other. And you'll eventually realize they do relate to each other, and they come together in unison at a certain place. And that place is this relationship with the light.
But within yourself, your heart has to be in the right place too for the divine union to happen as well, right? I mean, you can't just think your way there. You have to feel your way there as well, right?
Not necessarily. It's not about forcing yourself to be kinder or anything like that. What is going on is the more you understand, the more you will naturally develop and mature. This is a natural progression that every person should be going through, but they tend to give up and waste their time on conspiracy, God knows what. And as a result, they don't develop themselves. They don't learn anything new as such, because it's useless information. What you need is useful information that will automatically transform you, and it will make you a better person because you understand better. This is exactly what Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says people who live in sattva is more mindful. It means they think more, therefore they understand more. And the more you understand, the better you become naturally. So you don't even need to worry about it. It will happen automatically if you're learning useful information.
And that's the whole concept of the pyramid, bringing it to one point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's comparing things all the time. So if you compare the two extremes of psychology and natural science, you've got two opposite extremes that seemingly have nothing to do with each other. But the more you compare them, the more they start linking together, and you realize that our choices make physical reality, and then physical reality determines our choices. So there's the yin-yang concept again. Each opposite has a little bit in the other, and they rely on each other.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So the principle of getting to divine union is nothing more than learning and understanding, because it will automatically transform you. So you don't need to keep, reminding yourself perhaps to be overly compassionate, overly loving all the time. It's more natural just to relax. Just relax. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to spend all your time beating yourself to death for someone else's sake. Yeah, fixing yourself is really, it's not about being selfish. It's about stepping aside from your own ego, as it were, and not worrying about what your opinions are, but you'd prefer to know the truth of it, even if it means you're the one who gets the blame. See, I didn't go through life thinking I'm going to suit myself. I'm going to suit and find the truth, because it's more important than my stupid opinion, because I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I've noticed that the more I don't know, another thing I've been catching flack about is like referring to you as knowing certain things, or what I mean. Like, people think I put you up on a pedestal. Now,
Yeah.
I don't mean to do that, but in my opinion, you're the only one I've ever talked to, experienced, that has completed the great work.
Exactly. And this is the biggest issue I found immediately. as soon as I started talking about anything to do with this, even 4 years ago, I immediately realized that I'm dealing with a human ego. No person wants you to come approach them and tell them that you know better than them.
Right.
This issue is actually expressed in the Gnostic text called On the Origins of the World, where it talks about jealousy and envy between individuals. Yeah, so if I know better than you, sorry, not better, but if I know deeper than you, let's say, I would want to teach you, but you might have the attitude that is competitive and therefore you will not accept my teaching. Yeah, so
couldn't be further from the truth with me, buddy. I consider you my mentor, man, and it's for good reason, because you know more about this than I do.
But see, to me, that means you're looking for truth above your ego. Therefore, you have exactly the right attitude.
Yes.
Do you
And
see?
that's what I try to explain to people, but they think that I'm worshiping you or this or that, or that I'm looking with, you know, how that says in the Bible, you're going to be looking for him over there. You're going to be looking for him over here when it's actually within you. Well, yeah, I understand that, but I still need to understand it. That's how I see it.
And here's the weird contrast. If you notice, we are not in a classroom, and I'm not a teacher as such in a classroom in a school. This is not a school. We're two guys having a conversation on the internet. That's it. So we're basically two random people, and the label teacher does not exist at the moment here. But if you put the person that you might be mentioning there that doesn't like what you're saying about this, or that you look up to what's coming out of me, let's say, if you put them in a classroom and have a teacher walk in, they will immediately accept that that is the teacher of that class. They will not then stand up and say, I'm not going to be taught by you because I disrespect your authority, or I think you have no authority to teach me. That would be ridiculous. So the psychology of the situation has a lot to do with it as well. The fact that we're just two random people on the internet, and it looks like we're having a conversation where I think I know everything about everything, which I don't.
Right. And I tell everybody that you never once hold yourself above me. You consider me your friend. I consider you my friend. But it's me that's putting the mentor status on you, because you are the one that knows more about it than I.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. And the fact that you recognize that this is true is a fantastic thing, I think.
It's the only truth I've recognized ever, man, the ultimate truth. I mean, there's not one thing you've ever told me that I can say is off base or wrong, because when you don't know something, you tell me you don't know it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm not going to make stuff up. What would be the point of that?
Right. You don't even speculate because you don't want to muddle it up.
Right? That's right. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right.
I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I feel like I had to defend you the other day. And that's half the reason why the video that isn't up for 5 hours isn't up there right now, because the person that I was kind of debating with, I love the dude, he's awesome. I love his insight, but I kind of got a little testy about it, and I shouldn't have. So I want to apologize to them people as well.
Yeah. One more thing I just wanted to raise in these terms is that when someone, there's a famous saying that you should never trust anyone who says they know the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, because not only because maybe you don't and nobody else does, and they can just make it up and make it seem like they know something, but it's very normal to not trust somebody who says, here is an ultimate truth, you should accept it no matter what, because I have the authority, I'm an angel from God, or whatever, whatever. I could say all sorts of things, dude. I could say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and it makes me sound like I think I'm Jesus or something, which is nonsense. But people, of course, they just label you, and they project onto you the nature of their own current understanding,
but you completing the great work, it makes you just like Jesus, does it not?
Right. There's two things I could say about that. If you read Manly P. Hall, he gets the principle of illumination and your status after it exactly right. Not only does he recognize that you've achieved a higher status than creation, but he also emphasizes that it doesn't make you a perfect person. What is a perfect person?
Is
How
there
on
such
earth?
a thing?
Yeah, is there such a thing? You know, you're never going to please everybody. If you define a perfect person as someone who just pleases everybody, then it means they let everybody walk all over them, and that's not a good thing. So,
Very true.
is there such a thing as a perfect person? I could say something to somebody who walks past outside. Maybe they drop some rubbish outside my house, you know, and I tell them off. Does that mean I'm evil?
Yeah, no, by no means.
You know, it's just that the way people think is determining their conclusions. So they need to drop all that and drop everything. You know, drop everything. Just look honestly and openly at what there is, and look at what I'm saying and evaluate it. I'm only saying it because I think it's worth evaluating. You know, it's not just some personal theory I've got that I'm putting
I
out there.
totally believe that. I totally believe that, you know, and another thing has come up that I remember you saying that if somebody has seen the light, they're going to talk about it.
Oh my God, yeah. You won't be able to stop them.
Right.
Yeah, you
So,
won't be able to stop them. The cloud has never left my mind ever since I saw it. I was so staggered by it that I had to understand it, and I knew I was going to be talking about it, and I knew that no one else has seen it.
okay, one more on the Phil note. Why do you do this, Phil?
Why do I do what?
This. Why are you talking to me? Why are you taking your time? And honestly, you're not selling anything. Why do you do this?
Because I know how important it is. I know that it's the purpose of your physical existence, and therefore I want to bring it back into the human psyche on this planet, because it's not available to people, this understanding. It's hidden in the elite world of, you know, power and finance. It's all over the world, recorded. I recognize it, and I want to express it to people to remove the ignorance from this planet, because the only problem on the planet is ignorance. So if you deal with that, you will make the world a better place, and it needs to become a better place because it's heading towards self-destruction. Ignorance destroys itself.
And it's just that's the natural cycle of it.
It's what's set up on the planet. There's a, you know, the systems, once you have systems in place, they're very difficult to remove or change, because people who are in control of those systems like their position and they don't want it changed for them.
Okay. And one more question: is the light body ascension info all bogus?
The light body, what do you mean by that?
I think they're talking about the event information. You know how the your body will turn into light, and you know, like a flash, will come from the sun, and everybody will be changed into light beings and all that.
Right.
I think that's what
That,
you mean, right, Eric?
that is the world of fairy tales and nonsense. I'm so sorry to burst anyone's bubble. I know people like Corey Good are saying things like this, and David Wilcock is focused on it like nothing I've ever seen. And I'd like to shake him by his lapels and slap him in the face and bring him back down to earth, because you need to have your feet buried in the earth, rooted in the ground of reality first. That's why I studied science first. I did not study the New Age. I studied science on purpose to get the grounding, and then applied it to the New Age. And this is what the result. I achieved ascension because of that. And I've proved that that is the right thing to do as a result. So if you want to spend your time, not you, but if anyone wants to spend their time thinking they're going to turn into a thing of light because some guy on the internet says so, who's selling loads of books and does loads of talks, they're welcome to do that, but nothing's going to change for them.
And there was he said monks that meditate that change into a light body, nothing to do with New Age BS.
Right, name me a single monk that has done that and show me proof of it.
I think the tales that he's talking about are nothing more than like the Noah story and whatnot, right? I mean, it's a metaphor. The story.
Well, look at the Dalai Lama. If the Dalai Lama can't turn into a ball of light or whatever, do you think any other monk can? I mean, I spent a few years with monks years ago. I've known monks in Belgium, in England, in Thailand. You know, none of them talk about like, they're very realistic and down to earth, unlike this new age nonsense that is being promoted to literally waste people's time and make money off them, nothing more.
Yes, money is our biggest corrupter, our
Yeah,
biggest
yeah,
sideshow, our biggest
yeah.
hurdle.
Anytime you see a big show, you know, that David Wilcock has got himself into now, a big show and fantastical dramatic statements, be very careful, because they are snake oil salesmen effectively, or they are the Pied Piper from Hamelin, who will lead you down a dark alley and leave you to rot in the darkness. They don't care about you. They only care about making money off you. I've tried to contact David Wilcock. It's impossible.
Yeah,
It's
me
not
too. Me too.
He's completely incommunicado. So what's going on there? Why can't I talk to him?
Do you know who Sangri is?
Who?
Sangri?
No.
Sadgri, Sadguru?
Oh, Sadhguru.
Yeah, Sadguru. Yeah. What's
Yeah,
your opinion on him?
Yeah, he's a yogi. He's my favorite yogi.
Thank you. Mine too.
Yeah, he makes sense.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely back him.
And somebody asked, how could an Amazon tribe find the same info?
What do they mean by that? Because what info? The cosmic relationship and ascension information?
I think so. I think they're referring to you know, the hints of it in maybe their arts, or maybe add to that.
Yeah,
You know
there's a lot of history that we are not privy to. We've lost touch with. I think that there was a physical visitation from a civilization of gods who either originated from Mars or were set up on Mars and eventually came to Earth. In the past also, you have illumination and the becoming of gods being a very normal, everyday thing. It used to be the norm on this planet. As I look around the ancient world, I see nothing but depictions of that. A place, you know, the place of the gods, or the place where men become gods, like Teotihuacan and Giza in Egypt. These places were designed to help you achieve your ascension. So it's for your benefit. And something has gone wrong. People who like power have taken over that, and it's been going on for thousands of years already, where humanity, under the rule of perhaps the descendants of those who visited from Mars, who were gods back in the day, but their descendants are not gods and they don't care. You have to become a god by doing the great work. You are not born a god or a sage. Nobody is born a sage. You become a sage or a god while you live through your own effort, period. So in South America, there are many, many, many depictions of gods and old establishments that were made by people who knew of the language of gods and the understanding of gods.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you become a god, can you use that in any nefarious way?
It depends on the individual. As I mentioned earlier, Manly P. Hall specified that when a person is illuminated, they are not necessarily a perfect being. It doesn't mean they're going to go around suddenly wearing long white robes, curing people from all diseases, and you know, not attending to themselves in any way, shape, or form, being overly selfless. You know, there's a balance to draw, that you have to take care of yourself as well as others. It's not one or the other, it's both. So balance is a key word that needs to be remembered here as well. I've lost track of
Viracocha, what is that? What is Viracocha?
Viracocha. I can't remember exactly offhand. Let me just look that up. Viracocha. That rings a huge bell.
And I'm sorry that this talk reverts always back to this stuff where, you know what I mean, by how,
Yeah.
you know, but I think it's sometimes pertinent. I guess if we don't explain it, people won't want to. I don't know how to explain it, you know, because if it were up to me, I'd you know, I'd like to move forward on the whole these issues, because I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. Right. So Viracocha was. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, every time I just Google the word and there it is, and I understand immediately what it's saying. So it's saying, considered the creator God, he was the father of all other Inca gods, and it was he who formed the earth, heaven, sun, moon, and all living things. So that's the light. And look at the depiction there on the gate of the sun, as they call it at, is it, where is that? That's, oh, I forget now.
Maybe.
No, it's not Teotihuacan. Man, I can't remember. I don't spend much time on South American things, but that is in my book, that depiction. The figure there is holding two sticks on either side. So in other words, he has completed the tree of life. So the two sticks are the two pillars on either side of the tree of life. And his head is the sun risen to its highest point, where the lamb is slain. It's eclipsed by the moon. And now people would say, well, that's the sun. Well, it is in the sense that it represents your psyche achieving illumination and ascension. And there is ascension depicted for you right there.
In Machu Picchu, is that where it's at?
Machu Picchu? No, that's not Machu Picchu. It's, oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember.
I just got people chiming in chat and I'm reading their answers.
Yeah.
We can figure that out for ourselves, but we can move on. I think. Anybody else have any more questions in that? So yeah, we can move on. Akashic record more reliable. What is in your description of the Akashic record? What is that?
It's the recording of everything that's ever happened and ever will happen. Don't forget, the infinite ineffable has infinite capacity to record and know. Yeah, so everything you've done, everything you do is recorded from the inside, from your personal point of view, and from the outside, from the impersonal point of view as well. So the impersonal, the true recording of everything that happens is what people normally refer to as the Akashic record, but you have a personal Akashic record, which is like an accumulation that you take with you until you release, until you ascend, so you don't need to go through all those things anymore.
And yeah. that includes your failings, your whole life history of
everything. I mean, everything is recorded. Everything is recorded. Everything is known above you and beyond you. Don't ever think you can hide anything. It's not possible. How can you hide from yourself?
Right. That's what I was telling somebody the other day is, you can lie to everybody around you, but you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah, well, you can if you want to, but you're going to go terribly wrong if you do. If you're not honest with yourself, you may as well shoot yourself.
We're not propagating shooting yourself now.
No, not at all. But it's the equivalent of just throwing your life in the bin if you're not honest with yourself. Yeah.
Somebody said Tiwanaku.
Tiwanaku, thank you.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
And the prize goes to Nomad Apocalypse.
Yay.
Temple of the Sun, Tiwanaku.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's a place where people become gods as well, just like Teotihuacan or Egypt, Giza. There's lots of places all around the world where that used to happen, and it's all fallen to ruin.
Right. And so why do you think when you went to Angkor Wat, why do you think that was the antithesis or the thing that sprang you into your understanding?
I think it's because I was ready for it, and in my opinion, there is a presence at Angkor Wat that is ever vigilant for anyone who is ready, and they will allow that person to ascend. Is that
why they talk about the pyramid in the sarcophagus in the same manner? That's what it was built as a gateway for? What Thoth says in the Emerald Tablets? Is that pretty much the same? Like it's a nexus point on Earth? Is Angkor Wat that sort of thing?
Yes, it is kind of, but there's an awful lot to say about that as well. It's not that simple. Yes, it is an anchor point. It is a special place on Earth that they're using, and they built in that location on purpose. If you look at the main temples around the Earth, they're in a band, like a great circle. you can connect all of them in this great band, this major band, as if there used to be an old equator that they're all playing a part of. And it's only when you look at, I can show you now, it's only when you look at Walter Russell's concept of implosion explosion, which is right here, you'll notice that if you apply this to the Earth, let's just bring it up. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Right, so charging happens at the poles and discharging happens around the equator. There's an expansion of a more subtle form of vortex energy coming out of the equator of the Earth, and this is where all these temples are. So they are focusing and refining this energy in the temple.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
and
you can.
It's no coincidence that's in the shape of a cross either.
Right. It's the same sort of principle all the way through. I mean, the creator is all the way through the creation in every way, shape, and form. What you've got to realize with this is that you can apply this to the cosmos, a galaxy, a star, a planet, a creature, and your brain.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, that simple thing there is applicable throughout creation. Yeah. So you can understand why there are certain things built in certain places around the Earth, because they're making use of that and they knew about it way back.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, I wanted to show you. I'm just going to grab the recent book I'm in the middle of sorting through, because the insights are coming thick and fast with this, especially with the book of Genesis. Hang on a second.
Oh, and that brings me to your type of meditation is essentially like when you're at work and you just think, right?
Yeah, man. I think most of the time I'm thinking about something or chewing over something to go further. I've got this inner sort of fervor to understand more and more and deeper to make sure. Here it is. Yeah, I don't like living off mistakes, mistaken understanding or mistaken identities. I don't enjoy that because it goes nowhere. So I spend a lot of time making sure that what I'm thinking is correct. I vet everything. I challenge everything. If it's really true, then it is true. Then you'll find out that it's true.
Right.
Okay. If this would just stop winding around and around. There you go. Okay. So here's the working title, if you like, of the new book. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what I'm calling. I'm just calling it the God Code as a sort of working title, just something to go on. And I'm going through all the old text. So I'm going to take you to Genesis. Right, there's Gnosis, which you already know. It's just the first chapter is a resume of the understanding, so people can have something to go on. And now we come to Genesis. Okay, and the start of Genesis is the generation of the ocean of chaos, the abyss, from ascension that has the light in it, that generates the cosmos, that has 7 kingdoms. And those 7 kingdoms are expressed very quickly. So at the very beginning, darkness was over the surface of the deep. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. That is a reference to the abyss. Because when you have the light, he says, let there be light. But that is the production of everything in that moment. There is creation, the moment of creation. The light they're talking about there is the Son of God. It's the production of the Son of God that starts everything. God saw the light was good, because it's the creative principle. It can only be that way. Let me just take you further down. Okay. Often people ask, people who go on about flat Earth, they say that there's a dome over the flat Earth and that there's a separation between the waters, and that's what Genesis is talking about. It couldn't be further from the truth. What you're hearing about when it says, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and I beg your pardon, that's a little bit later. I just want to go back a bit. to the separation of the waters. There you go. Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. What is that saying? Well, it's very, very simple. Where's our relationship? There's our relationship. So the cosmic ocean, the abyss, is a scalar field, and you can call that an ocean. Imagine the surface of an ocean that fluctuates with waves, yeah? Mm-hmm. Right, so imagine that in a three-dimensional sense, where you've got different values fluctuating like a quantum field of potential. And now compare it to the cosmos, which is shown as an egg, which is the development of that raw material, which you can call clay. So you have from clay, the light is now the diamond. So everything between the clay and the diamond is the cosmos, the process that takes the clay and makes it into a diamond. And that cosmos is the same waters in a different state. So the waters have been divided. You have the clay waters, or the scalar field, fundamental primeval ocean, and you have the cosmos, which is the developing version of that. Therefore, the waters have been divided, and that's at the cosmic scale. You can also apply that water from water division in the cosmos, between the cosmic ocean, between galaxies and galaxy situations, because it's the galaxies that do the developing.
Right, and that's the polarity principle of the Hermetic principles, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, it causes polarity. In the Enuma Elish, I think it is, it says that Kingu stands on Tiamat's hinder parts. Notice if we look at the standing up version of that, let me just get rid of these.
And the Apsu and Tiamat are the essential. The Apsu and Tiamat are essentially the waters from above and the waters below, right?
No. I'm going to show you right now what they are. Hang on 2 seconds. Let's find it. I'm just going to find it for you. That's the wrong one. Okay, here they are. Right, so we're now going to identify Tiamat specifically, and Abzu or Kingu. There you go, there they are. So Tiamat is not the abyss. That's the primeval ocean. Tiamat is the cosmos, because she is the glistening one and she is female. It's the cosmos that glistens and has light in it with starlight. So Tiamat is the salt water of the cosmos, the chaotic nature of the cosmos, the energy mechanics of the cosmos, if you like. Abzu and Kingu are both the light that stands on her hinder parts. Notice if we turn this back up with the light at the top and the cosmos below, as the Atman again, you have the light standing on the cosmos with his two legs, or one of his legs is standing on the cosmos. It's really his right arm. Are you following what I'm saying?
Is that the same as when the guy's standing on the lion in those Mesopotamian clay tablet things, or those?
I know what you mean. No, that would be so there's a man, he's standing on a lion, and there's an effulgence of light behind both of them.
Right.
Now you've got three items in that depiction, with a man standing by himself. So you have God thrice great, completed by the human that generates the light, which is being shown to you as well in three different forms at the same time. It has the same shape as the head of a lion. It comes from a man, and it's considered to be the creator, who you could associate with a man who does things, creates things, but he is an effulgence of light as well. As usual, there's a paragraph of information in a simple picture.
Yeah, that's where my understanding is falling short. Right there is the many depictions of it and how to decipher the many depictions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't half take a while there's so much stuff to get your head around, and filter through. And I've been doing that for all these years, like focusing and refining, to get to the point. I love just getting to the point. Then you can expand from the point and realize how things work. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I appreciate it totally, Phil. I mean,
Yeah.
at any moment, if it's getting too late there, man, you just give the word and we can continue this some other time too, because you got to work in the morning, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm okay tomorrow. When I do weekends, I don't start till 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm only 20 minutes away from work. So I'm okay. With 6 or 7 hours sleep, I'm fine. You know, I need to catch up if I have too many nights like that. But for the weekend, I'm all right. I can stay up for another, well, we can talk for another 10 minutes, and
Okay,
I'll have to
sounds good.
start going.
Sounds excellent. And I appreciate any time you're putting forth with me. And I'm sure
I,
most people in chat will agree with me that, that they appreciate it. So
thanks. I appreciate, that, and I know you appreciate it. So I really want to help, as much as possible. So you've heard of this, very briefly, this Gnostic text that is untitled, that has been given the title On the Origins of the World. Are you familiar with that one?
the one where not necessarily, no.
Okay.
I'll look into it right after we're done with the show, though.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to send you what I've got on it so you can have something to compare with, to read, and not be bamboozled, because
Okay.
whoever wrote this obviously was not a modern scientist, so he's using whatever expressions he knows from his time, etc., etc. But I've put in brackets what he's talking about throughout the text, so you can see, oh, I see, that's what he's referring to. So here's an example. He starts off by saying how well it suits all men on the subject of chaos, the cosmos, to say that it is a kind of darkness. He's also referring to the ocean of chaos, which is the abyss. It can be very confusing to distinguish between the cosmos and the abyss that it is in. Okay, you have to be careful to identify the specificity there. But in fact, it comes from a shadow. The shadow he's referring to is the ocean of chaos, which is the abyss, because it's pitch black, which has been called by the name darkness. So he's referring to the abyss as darkness. And the shadow, which is the abyss, comes from a product, which is light, that has existed since the beginning, because it's come from the ascension moment, which is a timeless expansion. Because it's timeless, it's eternally there. And it's the leader of anything that happens in time, which is always transient. Now, this is one of the hardest things for anyone to get their head around, the distinction between timeless and time thinking. They're complete opposites. It is more, he goes on, he says, it is moreover clear that it existed before chaos came into being. And when he says chaos, he's talking about the cosmos. So the cosmos comes into being as a result of there being an infinite abyss with a light in it, defining its center, because you have to define the center first to have a reference point from which you can project your vectors and your tensors, your energy mechanics, which is the essence of the cosmos before we get to ascension. Because galaxies are made through energy mechanics, not through somebody's thinking. The
Is that
cosmos.
not the true 0-point energy that everybody is searching for?
0-point energy is a subject in contention because the people who are pursuing it do not understand what I'm explaining to you.
Yeah, that's why I just...
So they can't put it all together and give you a great succinct explanation. So they just make this conclusive title, 0-point energy, without explaining what it means. So if I say that in the center of our galaxy is a singularity, what I'm really saying is that there is a condition at the center of our galaxy that has exactly the same state as the outermost part of the cosmos. Therefore, they are one and the same, and the distance between them means nothing. In other words,
is the singularity the null point?
Yes, that's right. It's a null point. And if you look at the energy mechanics of that, you're talking about different sized event horizons. So within the event horizon is what I'm referring to. The event horizon of a black hole, the model there, the Schwarzschild radius, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But
I'm aware of it. Yep.
Yeah, so within the event horizon around a so-called black hole is a timeless condition, and that is the same condition as the outskirts of the cosmos. Therefore, they are one and the same. Therefore, the light will have an effect on every single galaxy.
Awesome. And that's the ultimate yin and yang, right? Right there, what you just described, correct?
It is really, yeah. What you're seeing there in that relationship is yin and yang, because the light is male and the cosmos is female, like Adam and Eve. It's the primary relationship. Yeah. And they make each other. They make each other.
Yes, the 1 and the 13, the beginning and the end.
Right, right. So when we come off here, I'll make a PDF for you very quickly, and I'll email it to you quickly, so you've got On the Origins, and you can obviously look at it whenever you want. You don't have to look at it tomorrow, whatever.
Well, I'll probably invite my panel on that. We've been discussing this stuff and because I think that helps. In your opinion, do you think it helps? I mean, for us to do that sort of thing?
Yeah, it always helps to brainstorm things. Yeah, but then come away from it and then go back to it and look at it again with a fresh mind, and you'll see more next time, and then do that again, you'll see even more. That's a process that refines. That's an iteration process that we would call,
Excellent.
Always.
We got one more question before you go, Phil. Should we dismiss, not get too involved in the physical world to find enlightenment? And I think you've already answered that, but go ahead.
I've heard people argue this over many years, and some people would say you have to negate the physical world and perhaps go and live on top of a mountain to find ascension. That is not the case. You need to engage in your life as fully as possible to experience and learn from it. If you don't engage in any events or experiences, what on earth are you going to learn? If you go and sit on top of a mountain after, let's say, 25 years of experiencing city life or something, and you stay on top of that mountain by yourself, you have stopped experiencing things, and your level of progression will become stale. You need constant challenges to remind you that you haven't got to the truth yet. And it's only when you get to the truth that you don't need that anymore.
And in essence, that's why you can sit there so calm. And even if the world's going to hell in a handbasket, you can sit there calm and know that all is well, all is where it should be, and all is going to be good anyway, right?
With God, all is well. Yeah, I mean, I would be very upset if I saw the world going into hell in a handbasket, because I have compassion. So there's the emotional content of me wanting to help out because I can see that it's necessary. But if it does go like that, it won't be down to me. It's not my fault, So I won't feel that I have contributed to that disaster, let's say, because I haven't. So I would leave being sad about that only. I wouldn't feel any blame about it, So it doesn't worry me in those terms, but I'm concerned that the right voices are heard.
Well, and I think you're one of them right voices, Phil, and I sure appreciate every ounce of energy you pour into this, man. And I really do, man.
That's great.
I hope I can get you on here again soon so I can pick your brain.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, it's been established that I always have Fridays off.
Okay.
So I should always be available on a Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
unless something unusual happens, like tomorrow night, I'm going into London to see Silas Neptune play at a pub in central London. So I'm out all night, and we could have done something tomorrow because I'm starting at 8 on Sunday as well. So, but then I have a girlfriend, and we spend together. You know what I mean?
So all about that.
I need to spend time. We need to spend time together, and
right.
Yeah, but I'm basically free on Fridays. Yeah.
That'd be excellent, man, and I sure appreciate it, and everybody in here appreciates it too. They're all sending their love to you. Paula says she loves you. I mean, everybody that is in here is pretty much saying the same thing. So we appreciate you, Phil.
Well, I love you all too. I wouldn't do this if I didn't. I love you, so I want to help you and understand and share happiness. Basically, this is a sharing of joy, really. Even though I look quite serious most of the time, this is about sharing joy. And wanting you to know that the greater truth that is waiting for you.
And it's achievable for every one of us, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thanks a lot, Phil, man. You have a nice night and sleep well.
Thanks, Steve. Have a good one, man.
Friday, bud.
Yeah, take care.
All right, you too, bud. All right, guys. I'm gonna say bye to everybody here in chat. Thank you, Free Press 666, Ruby Roberts, and thank you for everybody. R Nuggets, Eric, Wild Style, and glad you could join us. I'm not familiar with your name. I appreciate all of you guys. Jerry, Shannon Kling, Daddy Madass, Max Vision, Remote View Class This. All of you guys, 1111 Code, thank you very much. Avery Cox, all of you guys, I appreciate you joining us. Robbie K55, you guys have a nice night. And till the next time, we'll speak again soon. Bye.